We're going to start today's Everything Yesterday this morning off with a little note to my haters. I have been getting quite a few fun little messages telling me that gas prices have nothing to do with Biden's policies and everything to do with the pandemic and the invasion of Ukraine. The internet is a glorious thing that has provided 12 reasons why you may want to reconsider your position while you hold my beer. Number 1, on November 4th of 2020, Joe Biden was elected, and the average price of gas was $2.09. It was $1.99 for me, but, the average. On January 20th, 2021, Joe Biden took office. The average price of gas was just below $2.30. So between the election and inauguration, 20 cents increase on the average price per gas. Number 3, 8 days later, on January 28th, Joe Biden institutes, via executive order, multiple sweeping changes to oil and gas policy, halting new domestic oil and gas leasing and blocking the Keystone Pipeline, greatly impeding domestic production. On this day, the average gallon of gas was approximately $2.45. Are you keeping track? Number 4, on April 22nd, 2021, Joe Biden rejoins the Paris Agreement, which sets carbon pricing. Gas on this day was hovering just at $2.90 per gallon. Number 5, on May 20th, Joe Biden issues climate disclosure mandate via executive order. Gas on that date was at approximately $3 per gallon. Number 6, Biden uses the power of his pen on June 24th, 2021, to announce his infrastructure bill, relying on gas tax. At that time, gas had reached almost $3.14 per gallon. On October 28th of 2021, President Biden announces the Build Back Better plan, centered on taxes on natural gas, home heating, and petroleum manufacturing. At that time, gas had climbed to just above $3.35 per gallon. On December 8th of 2021, Joe Biden issued yet another executive order further restricting oil and gas production, called Catalyzing Clean Energy Industries and Jobs through Federal Sustainability. On that day, gas was hovering just around the same price. Biden quietly, this is number 9, quietly killed the East Med pipeline, increasing European dependence on Russia's Nord Stream 2. Around January 21st of this year, at which point gas was still hovering right around that $3.35 per gallon mark. Number 10, Biden raises fossil fuel-based power plant costs on January 31st of 2022, at which point the average was around $3.40 per gallon. Number 11, Russia invades Ukraine and gas moves to approximately $3.63 per gallon. So there is some impact there, I will admit that. Number 12, Biden bans imports of Russian oil and natural gas, and the average price per gallon skyrockets to $4.19 per gallon. This administration preaches about energy nonstop, but seems to be incredibly poor at handling the one resource that powers this nation. Not to mention all of the barrels of oil released from our strategic reserve that not only are not being replaced, but we're supposed to lower the cost of gas and have done nothing of the sort. You can and cope all you want, but the fact of the matter is that every increase can be directly tied to a decision by this administration apart from the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The U.S., remember yesterday when I told you guys to watch the situation in Ukraine, as Zelensky has said he's ready to come to the table with Putin, that there will be parties who do not want reconciliation to occur. So yesterday, magically, after that announcement, the United States finds Russian troops have committed war crimes in Ukraine. Yesterday, the Biden administration made a formal determination that Russian troops have committed war crimes in Ukraine and said it would work with others to prosecute offenders. Antony Blinken said, and I quote, "Today I can announce that based on information currently available, the United States assesses that members of Russia's forces have committed war crimes in Ukraine." The assessment was based on a careful review of public and intelligence sources since Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine last month. We've seen numerous credible reports of indiscriminate attacks and attacks deliberately targeting civilians, as well as other atrocities. Russia's forces have destroyed apartment buildings, schools, hospitals, critical infrastructure, civilian vehicles, shopping centers, and ambulances, leaving thousands of innocent civilians killed or wounded. To note, neither Russia nor the United States recognizes the authority of the ICC at The Hague, which presents difficulties for seeking accountability for war crimes. The United States could assist a prosecution by helping gather evidence against Russian forces, provide support and backing to a commission of inquiry by the UN Human Rights Council, and two Democratic members of Congress, Ted Lieu and Eric Swalwell, have requested Merrick Garland to open an investigation into war crimes for the deaths of two Americans in Ukraine, journalist Brent Renaud and Jimmy Hill, who was killed while waiting in a bread line. I told you. The United States, France, Italy, Germany, and Britain are disappointed over Kosovo's rejection of Serbian voting plan. The decision by Kosovo to not allow eligible citizens to vote in neighboring Serbia's elections next month ruffled the feathers of the fighters of democracy, warning the move could undermine the Balkan Republic's European aspirations. These countries said in a statement the government in Pristina had rejected a constructive proposal they presented to allow eligible Kosovan citizens to vote in Serbia's elections on April 3rd. Kosovo earlier banned ethnic Serbs from voting on Kosovan soil in a Serbian national referendum on constitutional amendments in January, against the urging of Washington and the four European nations who all backed Kosovo's 2008 Declaration of Independence. It's funny when these countries like to declare independence in other countries, but not their own. Such an attitude of the Kosovo government is not in line with our values and principles and will undermine European aspirations. This is crucial to achieve progress towards a comprehensive normalization agreement that will ultimately unlock the EU perspective of Kosovo. Kosovo's Prime Minister, Albin Kurti, said he was expecting an official letter of request from Serbia, and that there is no agreement with Belgrade, which is a condition for holding these elections. A day earlier, Serbia's president, Aleksandar sorry, you might be able to hear my son yelling and screaming. I love spring break. Said that a request to the government would be tantamount to the recognition of Kosovo. Specifically, he said, "I cannot and will not accept independence of Kosovo despite the price." Serbs account for around 5% of Kosovo's population in enclaves across the country, most of which refuse to recognize Pristina as their capital. I once again ask the question, why is this anyone else's business? Particularly the 6 countries trying to involve themselves, or 5, whatever it is. The ruble closes at highest since February on gas sales move. The Russian ruble closed on Wednesday at its strongest this month against the dollar, both in Moscow and offshore exchanges, after Putin said Russia would start selling its gas to unfriendly countries in rubles. He named 28 different countries that are considered unfriendly to the Russian Federation now. The ruble ended below 100 rubles per dollar Still down over 22% this year as Russia faces strict sanctions globally, triggered by its invasion of Ukraine last month. Liam Peach, who is an emerging Europe economist at Capital Economics, said it seems to be an effort by the Russian authorities to apply pressure on Western countries by forcing foreign buyers of Russian gas to use rubles, with the added benefit of supporting the value of their currency, which is a smart move. Russia appears to have averted default on foreign debt by making a coupon payment in dollars on a foreign bond maturing in 2029. A bondholder said the payment had been received. But Russian holders of domestic corporate Eurobonds face delays in receiving payments settled through international agents as transactions get caught up in sanctions. Russia's National Settlement Depository said Russia was prepared for this. They made backstops to ensure they could pay their debts, and they have called the United States and other NATO countries bluff. How things proceed moving forward will be interesting as many countries are sitting with egg on their faces. This is when you guys need to pay attention to. Despite robust crops, United States farmers cannot sell wheat, which could inflate food prices further. The United States wheat market has been turned upside down by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with wheat futures soaring so high, so fast, that many buyers are backing off, leaving farmers with a diminished market even though they have plenty of crops to sell. Meanwhile, a shortage of fertilizer threatens future crops. Here I am, being that I told you so bitch. Local wheat prices rose about 30% to nearly $12 a bushel in some farming communities following Russia's invasion, the highest in decades. Prices climbed so quickly that many customers along the supply chain, including local co-ops, grain elevators, flour millers, and exporters, stopped buying crops because they weren't sure they could resell them for a profit. For now, many are delaying purchases until more is known about how the Russia-Ukraine conflict will play out. Russia is the world's leading wheat exporter, while Ukraine is a top supplier of both wheat and corn, as I have stated many times previously. The problem has been complicated further by worries of a fertilizer supply shortage. Where have you heard this before? Russia is a major supplier of fertilizer to the world, and it is no longer selling to the West. The fertilizer ban is slated to last until the end of 2022, as of now, which will squeeze an already tight supply. But the greater concern for many farmers is how the ban will impact future supplies and prices, because our government doesn't think in the future, they just think in terms of right now. Mike Gunderson, who is a wheat, soybean, and corn farmer in northwest Minnesota, said if things don't settle down and suppliers don't want to purchase from Russia for 2023, that could put a real tight squeeze on the fertilizer market, even next year, making it even worse. I want to be clear. This isn't just a Joe Biden issue, as many would like to solely place blame on the figurehead that can't even remember what he had for breakfast. Overwhelming majorities and near unanimous decisions have been made by the uniparty hanging out in the halls of Congress to exacerbate the conditions and situation with Russia. Whether you are a Republican or a Democrat doesn't matter. The simple fact of the matter is that those politicians do not care if you eat because they will. They do not care if you can drive yourself to work because they can. They will tax you into oblivion to ensure they have the money necessary to live comfortably, and you will be left with nothing for your efforts. Start paying attention to who your enemy is. It is not your neighbor. It is not your family member that voted for Donald Trump. It is not your feminist cousin who cheered for Kamala Harris. It is the media and the politicians hoping that you do not recognize the fact that it is they who are your enemy. A Brazilian music star was recently hospitalized with severe stomach pains caused by holding in gas whenever she was with her boyfriend. Singer Polka opened up about the bizarre medical incident to her over 15 million Instagram followers. 15 million. She explained that she was holding in her farts around her partner Ronan Souza, who hasn't spoken about the ordeal just yet. Gee, I wonder why. Some fans argued that she should feel comfortable enough around someone she's dating to pass gas when she needs to. She said, "I woke up at 5:30 a.m. with severe stomach pains and ended up in the hospital. But that's it, guys. I'm now fine. Just an accumulation of trapped farts." She decided to ignore her abdominal pains. Y'all just wait for it. After she watched a TikTok video and took their medical advice, but said she regrets her decision. Now Polka has seen the light and will no longer be under pressure. She continued by saying, "Girls, don't be ashamed to fart in front of your guy, because what's really embarrassing is not letting your guy sleep because you're in discomfort, going to the hospital with your guy, and the diagnosis being trapped farts." Apparently, there is a woman named Stephanie Matto who began selling her own jarred farts in 2021. Who is buying jarred farts of strangers? She was also reportedly rushed to the hospital after experiencing extreme abdominal pain caused by gas pressure that had built up. First world problems. We are fucked. I guess I'll pose this question to my audience. Men, is it cool if your ladies fart in front of you? Ladies, are you comfortable letting her rip in front of your man? The important questions of 2022. I love you guys. Have a great day.